Hi, everybody. Just wanted to share a couple pointers about my paper that I did about pastoral vestments or, priestly clothing for this class. Now, first, we have numerous different church traditions. We have got numerous different denominations even now. And each denominations will have their own standard, i.e. the Catholic ministers will have specific clothing and names for the clothing that'll be different than, let's say, the Orthodox Christians, where they'll have similar attire as ministers, but the names will be different. And the same goes for various Pentecostal, Reformed, evangelical churches as well. Now, there may not be a specific denominational dress code, let's say in the Church of Christ or Assemblies of God, as there might be in like a Episcopalian church, but that's just variants of denomination here. Now, one thing's for sure is that each church, whether denomination wise or even each church in its own town, will have their own list of what's expected to wear. And the one issue with lists like that is that we tend to see our list of this is how you're supposed to approach us and fit in with us, and then everyone who doesn't look this way, we almost look down on. So that's a little bit of a disadvantage of the list here, uh, but every church has their list. Now, when it comes to the global church, how we know that just one individual list isn't right is because everyone has a list. Every church, every denomination does. So if there's nothing consistent in Christianity when it comes to pastoral attire or priestly garbs or ministerial vestments, however you want to put it, if there is no one standard that's uniform for the whole world, then to me that's saying a specific clothing isn't necessarily defined by God or needed for ministry. Now, that's not to say that as Christians we shouldn't stand out, that we shouldn't be a part of this world. And Paul talks about us being aliens, not of this world, as Christians. Uh, but it's more of we don't have one standard to dress to look good before God, because really we don't. With what Jesus did on the cross and His shed blood for us, He cleansed us, and He's placed His righteousness on us, and that's what God sees, not our sin, not our past, not our fallen nature. Now, with that said, if clothing isn't crucial when it comes to pastoral attire or priestly duties, then what is? And the question really becomes isn't what should we wear, but are we living righteously? So let me explain. So, how this would work is in John 13:34 through 35, it says, and this is Jesus talking to his disciples. A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. Now, I see that is more crucial, really, than outside attire for priests or pastors or however. Uh, because our actions, what we do, which is what defines us, is what we do that causes us to stick out, that causes us to appear different, which usually we use clothing as that identification marker. Yet here, it's our love, and it's our love that defines us as disciples of Christ, that are followers of Christ, not necessarily a tradition of some sort, but our love for each other. Now, does that mean that by loving one another that we should expect our pastors to wear their regular Sunday morning clothing and go to the strip club and start loving on people there like Jesus loved us? Not necessarily. I mean, I wouldn't be doing that, but yet in a way, that's almost what Jesus was doing. He was hanging out with the prostitutes, the those who are less than, who never matched up, who never wore good enough clothing, who weren't outwardly good. Uh, when he was ministering. And the ones who were in the priestly garments, the Pharisees, were looking at Jesus and say, "Why are you hanging out with those sinners? Why are you doing this?" And what Jesus was doing, he was being the light to the lost, right? He was he wasn't concerned about the outward appearance as it was the inward. And in conclusion, with this paper, uh, it is the righteousness of God is what we should be looking for. That which changes the heart, not what changes the outward clothing. So, with that, I will end. Thanks for listening.